Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hi, and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm here to radiate desire with Kristen Thomas, who is a relationship, dating, and certified sex coach. I have been so excited about this because I think it's an important topic. Welcome, Kristen.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you.
I'm so glad to be here.
Yay! So, wow, you do a lot of stuff.
I do.
And, so relationship, dating, and certified sex coach.
Yeah.
That's huge. And you just got this
Just finished my certification. Yeah.
Wow, how long does that take?
It took me 2 years. I mean, people can move a little faster on it, but I wanted to really absorb the sexology part.
Right.
The coaching and the business aspect I felt was pretty easy for me, so that part of my studies was fast, but I really wanted to make sure that I absorbed everything. And there was a lot of reading and a lot of writing, a lot of research involved. So.
Wow, that is so exciting. And so who does the certification process?
There are actually several programs out there. I did a lot of research when I decided to start going down this path. I got inspired by a podcaster, and full disclosure, she said, I went through this program, but I just want to tell people about my process and why I became a sex coach. And hers was more about her journey led her to realize that she wished she'd had someone along her path to help her unlock her innermost desires. And she didn't have that. She had a difficult time finding that herself. And that is why a lot of people coach, right? It's because they've been through situations where they felt like, gosh, I wish I had someone that had held my hand through this journey.
Exactly.
And when it comes to sex, a lot of people in the Midwest need some support.
We do. Yeah. There are books and things out there. You can certainly talk to people, but here in the Midwest, it's like we don't talk about it.
It's still so taboo. And a lot of people have said, why don't you move to the coast where you could have more open-minded clients? Because we need the help here.
We need it, honey. We need it here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is huge. Oh, and you've had some other recent successes. You helped relaunch the LGBTQ.
Well, I'm an ambassador with the LGBT Chamber.
Wonderful.
And they rebranded recently.
Right.
So they wanted to be more inclusive, and it was just the Gay and Lesbian Chamber. Now it's the LGBT Chamber. So just happened to be out there promoting it simply because as a bisexual woman, it was really important that I'm represented and that others are represented. And as well as people in the trans community are represented there too. So I'm just happy to be a part of the program there.
No kidding. And you have a podcast of your own.
I do.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
So my company is Open the Doors Coaching, and I like puns, so it's called Keep Them Coming with Open the Doors Coaching.
I love it. And so you talk about all kinds of topics around sex.
I do. Yeah, and I have activists on as well. I had the Barrier Babes on recently who are out in the community doing education around barrier protection.
Oh, absolutely. I was part of that crew back in the 80s going to the clubs and handing out condoms.
Yep. So I had them on recently. I had one of my business mentors, Joel Barrett, who's an LGBT writer, speaker, author, just kind of gatherer, says. But I've also just had friends on who want to talk about all the dating apps that are out there. I did a dating app review on my last episode.
That's an exciting topic.
Yeah. So I like to talk about a lot of different topics, and I do talk about people's sex lives, too. So as much as they want to talk about it, of course.
Right. Do you talk about your own as well?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, in fact, I think you said that you warned your parents about that?
I told them I tell stories, so be warned. But I mean, it's nothing that I wouldn't tell them in person, so.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. And it sounds like your parents are pretty supportive of what you do.
They are. I mean, my mom still says I'm a life coach, but I'm working on it. My parents are wonderful. They've been married for almost 40 years.
Wow.
I've always known that they have a healthy, intimate life, but it was not really talked about.
Right.
So that's something that I'm also talking about other people with, especially people my age who now have children, is that it's okay for your kids to know that mom and dad have sex. It's okay for them to know what sex is, both from a biological function standpoint, but also from the standpoint of talking about things like consent and desire and real intimacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is important. I think that's really the biggest part of, especially here in the Midwest, we don't really talk about that intimacy and vulnerability and all like that.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy there are people like you here.
Thank you.
And your company is called Open the Doors Coaching. And so why did you call it that?
I was actually working through that business name with my mentor. My mentor, Anne, was with SCORE. She actually passed away this year.
SCORE is a wonderful organization, score.org.
Yes.
You can get a business mentor.
Yeah, so Anne Whitty was my mentor. She was fabulous. And one of my biggest things when I was first starting was I had this idea and I don't have a name for it. And of course, you're between, do I call it something based on my name, like Kristen Thomas Coaching, or do I give it like a name?
Right.
And when you think about, like, she walked me through the legal aspects of that, forming an LLC and everything that I had as far as options. And I decided to go with, an entity name, not use my name. And she was like, "What do you really want to say? What are you doing? What are you doing for people?"
Right.
And I said, "I just want to help people open their minds and open doors to new possibilities." And I kept going back to this opening and doors metaphor, and we kind of worked through it, and just landed on Open the Doors Coaching.
Right. Well, we always talk about things that go on behind closed doors, right? Well, open that up. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Plus, it's so common as far as a turn of phrase that people will use it and be like, "Oh," and kind of it keeps me front of mind too, because it's just a phrase that people use. So,
it is, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's really smart. You had a good mentor.
I had a good mentor, yes.
You really did. And how long have you been in business doing this?
Almost 2.5 years now.
Good for you. Yeah. I know we met at the Wellness Consortium.
Yes.
If you're in Kansas City and you're listening to this podcast, you need to be a member of the Wellness Consortium, no matter what you do.
Yes.
Right?
If you're out there helping people, service-based business especially, got to be in that group.
And the Wellness Consortium, they're easy to find.
I've had a lot of podcast guests that have come from that, actually.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I have too, as a matter of fact. Many of us have come.
Right?
It's a great source. Well, good. And so what got you into this? Why did you want to do this? I mean, we hinted a little bit that you thought it was needed here, and it is, but what's your why?
My why is, again, I just wish that somebody had been there along the path to help me understand what I really wanted and needed in my life. Took me a long time to come out as a bisexual person just because I didn't have anyone who was really telling me it was okay. Yeah. And there's a lot of stigma out there about it.
There's a lot of people telling you it was not okay.
Yeah, or that it's just on your way to being gay. And I'm like, well, I still like men. I mean, I like both. I really do like both.
Right.
But I just didn't have anyone who was giving me permission.
Yeah.
And I think that that's essential, is that a lot of people that I work with, what they're really looking for is permission for pleasure.
Yes.
And that has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people. And I just don't have judgment on certain things that a lot of other people do. Right. Oftentimes I'm that first person that people can come to and express themselves in a safe place and not feel judged. And the weight that it lifts from their shoulders to help them feel like, wow, okay, if she accepts me, there's other people out there who will accept me.
I love that.
So I feel like you give people a lot of freedom for their desire, whatever it may be.
Oh, I love that.
If it's sane, safe, and consensual, it's all good. If you're an adult and you're consenting to it, do what you like. And there's somebody out there who'll like it too.
I'm sure there is. Yeah. Do you find that you work with more straight people or gay or lesbian or bi?
It's a good mix, but right now I do have a lot of straight single women. Some divorced, some widowed, some perpetually single, who just never have been married.
Right.
Or, perpetually monogamous relationships and just never really going anywhere.
Oh, okay, interesting. And so you find you do work with more women?
Right now, I've got a pretty good blend. It's about 60-40 or 70-30-ish women to men, but there was a time where I had almost all men that I was working with. I was like, what's going on? But
what's going on?
I enjoy whoever I get the chance to work with. Anybody who's open-minded enough to come and say, I have this issue, I don't know who to talk to about it.
That's just it.
Yeah.
Well, and even knowing that there is help or that you can make a change in this area.
Yeah.
I think especially around the dating, we tend to get in ruts of dating. And yeah. So how do you find your coaching is different between like relationship and dating and sex coaching?
it can kind of, intertwine.
Morph, of course.
But yeah, sometimes, especially when I'm working with a couple, and it's more about, they may come saying it's about the sex, but really it's about the relationship that's underlying.
Yeah.
Even singles may come to me and say, like, it's about not being able to find somebody, but really they don't know themselves well enough in order to put themselves out there and attract the kind of person that they want. Right. So I do a lot of work with introspection and just figuring themselves out. You got to focus on what you want.
Right.
But if you're not the things that you desire in somebody else, it's hard to bring that energy into your life.
It is, yeah.
So I do talk a lot about that, too.
Well, even with my clients who are trying to, it's like, when am I going to get married? When am I going to meet somebody? Well, it's when you are the person that you would want to date, right? Then you know what you're going to attract.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, about the relationship. It's really hard to have intimacy with someone you don't trust.
Yes, it is very hard. Yeah. And so there are often times where people come to me and express, like, they do have some issues with anger or trust in their relationship. And quite honestly, that's not what I help people with. At that point, I do often refer them out for therapy.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's a little deeper beyond what coaching can help with, because that has to work with the past. You've got to get past the past in order to be ready for coaching.
Right.
I really say that I work with happy, well people.
Right.
But people who kind of already know what's in their baggage. It's already sorted out.
Good.
And then they're ready for me. Yeah.
Wow. And so what types of issues do people come to you with?
Oh, gosh.
I know, right?
So many things. Uneven desire, mismatched desire between the couple.
Yeah.
One person wanting to try something and the other person's like, I don't know about all this. One couple came to me because they'd lost a child, and one was ready for another and one was not. And she was experiencing a lot of shame about sexuality from her religious upbringing.
Sure.
And he still had some things with his religious upbringing that were lingering as well. So for them, it was just about helping them kind of remove some of the walls that they'd built up.
Sure.
And help them kind of start over with a clean slate.
And
they're so incredibly happy now. They were my first couple I worked with. And I got the chance to have coffee with her a couple months ago. She brought a notebook with this list of all the things she wanted to tell me about everything that was going so well in their lives. And the moment she sat down, I just looked at her, I was like, I don't know what you're about to say, but your energy just looks great. She's like, we're so good. We're so happy.
Oh my gosh, that had to feel wonderful. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
They were my favorite. I love them. I'll never ever forget them. But like with singles, like widows, trying to help them get their hearts ready for love again.
Absolutely.
One gal just had a series of poor relationships that just knocked down her self-esteem, and she'd worked through with therapy. It was kind of like, okay, I've gotten through the things, but I'm not moving forward.
Yeah.
So hers was a little bit about getting that permission for pleasure. And permission to allow herself to just move forward in life, and giving her some exercises around exploring her own sexuality. Yeah. Because if if you don't know yourself, you can't share yourself with a partner.
Yeah, and you can't expect someone to give you pleasure if you don't know what that pleasure is.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that I think is essential to think about too. Is that even if you're having sex with a partner, it is not your partner's responsibility to make you experience pleasure.
Right.
It's your responsibility to take charge of your own pleasure. Mm-hmm. That means guiding your partner, telling them what you like, reinforcing what they're doing, but also relaxing, getting out of your headspace, and allowing yourself to be present.
I think that's wonderful. So what is the goal of having pleasure in our sex life? It's like, what does that do for us?
Oh gosh, so many things. I mean, when you get onto the biological level, and talk about the neurotransmitters that are flowing through your body when you experience pleasure. Right. Women and even men who are experiencing low libido, something I often recommend is a masturbation routine. Mm-hmm. Simply because, just like working out, when you start working out, you don't like it. But you're getting those positive chemicals, but you're not quite there. And then once you get into a routine, your body craves it, and you want to work out because your body's telling you need those chemicals flowing through your system. Yeah. Masturbation induces basically the same thing. It floods your system with dopamine and endorphins and norepinephrine and oxytocin and all the good stuff, and it flushes out cortisol, which, as we know, is so harmful to our systems.
It is, yeah.
But as you're doing that, your body's going, ooh, I like that, I want more. So once you've jump-started it with a routine of having an orgasm through masturbation, and your body's wanting those chemicals, suddenly you magically have a libido. It's not rocket science. It is just biology. You've got to train your body into wanting something.
Yes.
And women's response cycles are very different from men's.
That's true.
Men tend to want sex and then get turned on, whereas women have to get turned on and then want sex. They're more proactive, we're more reactive.
Yeah.
So
do you coach couples through?
That's a lot of what I do too. Is like it was helping them. Okay, let's be real. We don't have the best sex education in the United States.
Right. It's all very perfunctory.
It's about biology. It's about reproduction or prevention of that, or
this
prevention
is
of STIs.
Exactly. This is what's going on with your body.
Yeah.
And this is what can happen with your body, and that's about it.
And not even really telling you what's going on with the other gender's body.
No.
We didn't know about testicles and sperm and all those things when we were getting those things in school until we were a little older in high school biology and things, and it was the giggles and everyone's shy about it.
Right.
Part of what I feel like I'm here to do is to help remove some of that shyness around sex. I mean, we are all here because of sex.
We are. Yeah.
Not all of us have sex because there are asexual people.
Right.
But what I'm really here to do, I think, is just help people gain a better understanding about themselves and about others. Because I think that sex is just such a basic biological function that when you understand not just yourself, but how other people can function.
Right.
Even if it's not for you or you don't have anyone in your life that functions that way. Like, if you don't have someone in your life that's trans, that's okay. If you understand what they're going through, you've got a basic empathy and can kind of move about the world. And when you do run into somebody, you can be a good human being, just not get weirded out by it. I mean, some people have never had a gay person in their life. Some people have never met somebody who's polyamorous. But I want to help people understand that there's a whole rainbow of flavors out there.
Yeah.
And
you got all the crayons in the box.
Yes, exactly. So there's just a whole lot of ways that people live their lives. And
absolutely.
Everyone's unique experience is unique to their lives. And it's not up to us to necessarily have those experiences in order to understand and empathize what they're going through.
Right, absolutely. But just to empathize and just have an understanding of what another person might be feeling.
Yes.
Novel concept.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about desire, because we talked a bit about, unmatched desire. It's like one person's really feeling it, the other person is not.
Yeah.
It's like how to get on the same page. But like if someone is not feeling desire, how can they work through that?
I think oftentimes in a couple situation where they're not experiencing the same level of sexual desire, it's because there is, again, something underlying that's pushing someone away from their partner. So it is about finding a way to help them turn more towards each other. Like, one of the first things I explore is, like, what's that bid like? When your partner is coming to you wanting intimacy, what's it look like? What's it feel like? What's that experience like? And then let's also talk about the concepts that you've built up around it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Exactly. What's the story?
What's the story you're telling yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things to pick up from Brene Brown. What's the story you're telling yourself?
I love Brene Brown. Yes.
Yeah, I use her a lot, especially her and Esther Perel are two thought leaders I turn to a lot when I work with couples, especially about shame and vulnerability and all that stuff with Brene Brown. Sometimes with exploring the differences in libido, it's important for me to help them realize that, like, sex isn't the only way that you can experience intimacy.
Right.
That what are you doing to build up through the day? Are you touching each other? Are you kissing each other? Do you speak positively to each other? Are you speaking each other's love languages?
Right.
All of those things.
That's huge.
And so if I can get them back to a fundamental place where they are actually experiencing, like, a good basic friendship, then oftentimes it's a lot easier to start getting them to want to have more fun in the bedroom together.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's wonderful. And so did you immediately start your career with doing this, or did you do something before?
I was actually a weight loss coach. That was where I first got my start with coaching.
Oh, how fun.
And I joked that, when you're helping women lose weight, because it was primarily women that were our clients in that industry. But when you're helping women with their weight loss journey, you talk a lot about sex and relationships, and that's a lot more fun to talk about than a diet.
Right.
And we had a lot of women who would, get to their goal weight and get pregnant, come back again and lose the baby weight. Just seeing the changes in people's lives was something that I really, really loved. And yes, talking about their relationships and their sex lives wasn't something that was part of the program. But let's be real, when someone was pouring their heart out about how their husband doesn't want to touch them anymore, and they don't feel sexy, and they don't want to, like, take their clothes off with the lights on.
Right.
All those things, it just really hit me that there's a lot of people who need help in that arena.
Right.
Whether it's, again, self-acceptance or, again, unwinding some of those stories that they've told themselves.
Yeah,
So, a lot of times those women who are uncomfortable getting naked in front of their spouse with the lights on,
Right.
the husband does not care. He
Right.
doesn't care. He does not care about your stretch marks. He doesn't care about your boobs aren't as high as they used to be.
Right.
He doesn't care about the zit on your butt.
Right.
He just wants you.
Exactly.
And there's so many women that have the anxiety over all those things. And there's men, too, that have the anxiety with their partners. Let's be real. Men have body image issues, too.
They do, more and more.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, again, I love helping people work through those things.
Oh, I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so, like, how would you approach somebody who's coming to you for the first time?
Well, I like doing a discovery call with people, which is just
That's a good idea.
30-minute call for us to just talk about their issues, their
Right.
concerns, and what it is they're really coming to me for. That way I can really see, like, are you wanting, because some people come saying, like, oh, I just need some life coaching. My life's not going so great right now. But they really are wanting to focus on their dating life. Like, that's the big part, is, like, the unhappiness in their life stems from them being single.
Right.
Again, sometimes, people come wanting to talk about just the sex part. It's really about the relationship.
Right.
Or I get one partner who wants to come, but their other partner is reluctant. So, again, that initial call, we can kind of work through some of those things.
Well, and are these really issues you can help with, or do they need someone who needs to do more in-depth therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a medical issue?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's important to just kind of get a baseline, kind of a ground level.
And I'll be real, with what I do, I sometimes get people calling me that aren't exactly looking for coaching. They're looking for other things. So, like, I tell you what, I've got a friend that is a professional phone sex operator. I'm happy to give you her direct line, because that's not what I do. So, good luck with that.
Film sex operator.
Phone sex
operator.
Yeah.
Oh,
Again,
right.
through what I do, I have met a lot of really interesting people.
I'm
So,
sure you have.
my very first podcast I was a guest on was called Must Love Fetish, and she's a professional phone sex operator. And she's a character. Her name is Sweetly Sensual Sarah. I mean, I know who she is in real life, but
right.
she built a persona, and she's a professional phone sex operator.
Oh, interesting. I'll bet you do know some interesting people.
Oh, yes. Former adult film stars, dominatrix.
Yes, I know a dominatrix too. Yeah.
People who own sex clubs.
Wow.
But also people who are just out there, again, doing, like, therapy, somatic therapy.
Right.
There's so many people out there
Right.
that can help people with their sex lives. Like,
Yeah.
a coach isn't the only aspect. Maybe they do need to take a trip to a state where surrogacy is legal and work with somebody through that process.
Oh, wow.
Maybe they do need to go and find somebody to participate in some BDSM with.
Right.
Maybe they're ready to open their relationship up. But my judgment is just not about any of those things. Again, if it's safe, sane, and consensual, you're all good.
Right.
My job is just to provide people with ideas, resources, and help them feel comfortable doing things in a way that's safe and makes them feel content.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm sure you probably run across couples where one couple wants to do something like polyamory and another does not.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way to reconcile that?
No, I really feel, and there's a lot of discussion about this out there,
Sure.
that the way you structure a relationship is almost an orientation at this point. People are either monogamous or they're poly or open or ethically non-monogamous. I don't feel there's any reconciling a partner being monogamy-minded versus the other partner who's polyamorous.
Right, right. Well, and of course there are people who want to try S&M and the other partner doesn't, right? And
so then that's about negotiating the contract between the partners.
yeah.
Can one partner go out and experience pleasure with somebody else and get that fulfillment? Again, if that one partner that's saying, no, I won't participate in those things, and I'm also monogamy-minded, that's probably a deal breaker.
Right.
But again, a lot of times
Mhm.
people get to that point because they haven't been honest with themselves up until that
Right.
point. So that's something that I'm also trying to help people with from the get-go. Gosh, if I could get to 20-somethings
Oh, yeah.
in a way that helps them feel like, okay, I can safely explore these things that I'm fantasizing about in this context and with
Right.
these partners, then
That would be
I think we'd have a lot fewer, 30s, 40s, 50-year-olds who are suddenly like, actually, I'm gay, or actually, I think we need to open our marriage up, or, it's
Right.
those things didn't just suddenly happen. They
Not
probably
in a
spent years
vacuum.
and years and years exploring those things.
Right.
Even in the privacy of their own mind, or in secret, or things like that. And that's where issues arise.
Right.
I really feel like if people were just honest with themselves first and foremost, it allows them to move about the world being authentically themselves.
Hi, this is Christy. I just want to say that we here at Radiate Wellness hope you're enjoying this podcast. It's free to you, and we hope that you find it informative and inspirational. Heck, even fun. We have just 3 small asks of you to help us radiate growth. First, please hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on. That way, you'll receive a notification every time that we have a new podcast episode out. Next, please give us a thumbs up, a like, or a 5-star review. If you're feeling inspired, a positive review wouldn't hurt. These 2 small things will help others find us when they're searching for great podcasts. Finally, please tell your friends about the Radiate Wellness podcast. Better yet, show them how to find us and how to subscribe. If everyone did that, we would double our audience. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And do you ever help people who are not aware of their orientation?
I haven't yet.
Right.
It's been more about people working through the public part. Like, they knew
do you mean?
themselves, but it was more about, like, how do I
Coming
kind of
out.
start moving about the world being more open with it, with other people. Yeah.
Okay. Where they were okay with it in themselves, where they could be open with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and you have a coming out as well.
Yeah, I came out a couple of years ago as bisexual, and
Yeah.
it was kind of a quiet coming out.
Right.
Like, I didn't, when
And
you're in your
maybe-
30s and you've been
Yeah.
married twice, people are like, oh, okay.
That's
Alright.
just okay, yeah.
But,
Right.
it's kind of at that point, like, my friends understand it. No, it's not even a big deal at this point. But
Right.
as a bisexual woman who does date both, like, when I'm with a man, I feel like I'm having to come out. When I'm with a woman, I feel like I'm having to come out. Like,
Right.
bisexual people are kind of the most, right now, we talk about how we're the most invisible group amongst the LGBTQIA community. Asexuals are pretty far up there, too, as far as invisibility.
Right.
But there's a lot of stigma around bisexuality because it's either, okay, if you're with a man, you're not really bi. Or there's
Exactly.
this thing about, like, you do it for the male gaze. It's about threesomes or multiples, and it's not often about that. And then if you end up with a woman, it's like, oh, well, you were just that bi thing that was just, you're on your way to being gay. It's like, no, I still like both. So,
Right.
yeah. There's a lot of, well, especially with social media, there's a lot of really great pages and groups and communities that you can follow that talk a lot about the stigma that comes along with being bisexual and just kind of the, like, nope, still here. I talk about bi visibility a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point. And how did you know that you were bi?
I've fantasized about women for a long time. I just had never allowed myself. I was brought up very, very Baptist. Yeah, so, like,
yeah.
gay was, like, no way. That was not gonna, it was basically told, like,
Exactly.
there's no way, like, that kind of stuff. But then the like, bisexual stuff in college, like, you'd see girls kissing each other and stuff, and I actually never kissed a girl until, like, even 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Just because, again, I had so much internalized stigma about it myself.
Yeah.
And I just finally got to the point where I was over it. And part of my journey in becoming a certified sex coach was me really taking a step back and analyzing my own life.
Right.
So while I had kind of internally accepted it, I hadn't verbalized it. And it wasn't until I went to, it's called a SAR, which is a sexual attitude reassessment. It's kind of just to help you get bombarded with lots of information. And it's to help you have more of a visceral reaction so that you're starting to see, like, what am I okay with? What am I not? So then when you are out there working in the community, you understand what populations you're cool with working with and what you're not. Because they would rather say, like, all right, if you're not cool working with trans individuals, that's fine. Don't work with them. Other people will. Know your own boundaries.
Yes.
And know what you're okay with, but also explore, like, what are you not okay with.
Right.
So, as I went through that process, I found there's just nothing I'm not okay with except medical fetish, which I don't even want. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I want to know.
Nope.
Yeah.
But everything else, I'm like, yep. Things that are illegal, it's for, like, pedophilia, bestiality. I'm not saying I'm okay with that.
No.
I'm saying, again, sane, safe, consensual. So consent must be present. So if consent's not present, those things are excluded.
I came across a consent app. What do you... Have you heard of that?
What, basically, like, both partners are putting in, like, okay, we consent to this.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a bit extreme. I think that sitting down, consent can look very sexy. Consent doesn't have to be like, so I would really like to have sex tonight. Are you okay with that? Right. But what it can look like is conversations of, I would really enjoy doing this with you tonight. What do you think about that? And kind of talking about, like, what's the menu of options? What's available to choose from? What do you like to do? And having that conversation beforehand
can be very sexy.
Yes, it can be very sexy. It can be quite a turn on because then you can start figuring out where are your boundaries. Start talking about what is a turn on for you.
Right. Well, and you know the other person wants you, right? And then you express that I do desire this relationship. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of out on the whole consent app because it's like maybe you consent one time, but you don't another time.
Consent can be revoked.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, that's the thing is. When you start getting into stuff like that, I feel like then you're mechanizing it, and that's not sexy.
No, bringing the lawyers into the bedroom, not sexy.
Like, and again, I can see where we made a valid point where that could be problematic of, since consent can be revoked at any point, even if you've done that, if you're in the middle of it and you're like, yeah, not into this, I want to stop. You can't, I'm not going to have someone go back and say, like, well, you just signed this document or this app or whatever.
Exactly. Or in cases of non-consensual sex, rape. Yeah. You know, it's like, well, they signed this, but, well, that was one night, and, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
can see that can be problematic. Yeah, absolutely. But you did mention that there are some apps you do like, and I know a lot of people who have met online. My brother and sister-in-law met online. You know, what do you recommend?
There are a lot of dating apps out there that are really good.
Right.
It's kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. I actually did a podcast.
That's what she said.
My friend Lauren came over, and she got really nerded out. I'm not calling her nerdy. She said, I got totally nerded out on this. But she had, like, stats and data and everything that one of these websites had sent her about, like, your pictures and what to do for that. And I loved it because it was totally reinforcing some of the advice I've given. Like, don't wear sunglasses.
Right.
Have a smile on your first profile. Don't have other people in your pictures. It should just be pictures of you. But I recommend Bumble. And Bumble's where I have had the most success this year myself. So, yeah. Tinder being kind of like the lower one. So think about, like, Bumble's good, Tinder's not.
Right.
Hinge is really good.
Okay.
OkCupid is kind of in the middle. It depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
I have had some people who are in open relationships, the ethical non-monogamy, say that OkCupid's nice because you can put your partner, you can link your partner's profile to it. So if the other person's coming in, they can actually check in and make sure, like, okay, you're actually open. All right. Because that is one thing in that community that's a concern is everything needs to be on the level.
Oh, yes.
You know, this can't be about secrets, hiding, cheating. It's none of that. It's not a cover for cheating. It is literally ethical non-monogamy. Right. It is your partner and you have made this decision. Your partner knows. Beyond that, it's up to each couple to decide what level of detail is shared or how much interaction there is between partners.
Right.
But OkCupid, you can do that link so that they know for sure, oh, you actually are in a permissible open relationship.
Right.
The League is kind of one of the lower ones. It's very expensive. You don't get many matches. It's billed as being like this elite dating sites for my friend. She was like, I signed up for it. She didn't do the paid version.
Right.
But there's like a waiting period for it. And then she's like, everyone on there is like lawyers or bankers or financiers and private equity and a lot of Ivy League people. So there's not a lot of those folks in Kansas City. Of course, if you're not caring where someone is, but,
I suppose.
she was like, that was so pretentious. It was just not my bag. But I guess there's people out there who would enjoy that. So
Right. What
not
about
my bag either?
Not your bag.
No.
What about the old Match.com?
Match is kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
Match takes work. Match takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And Match, quite honestly, there's not a lot of like 20s, 30s somethings on there. It's more for 40s, 50s, 60s. So
Right.
like, just be conscientious of like, yeah, there's some issues with like ageism in that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just a platform that's slightly clunky. It's not the easiest platform to use. Yeah, and not really that high quality from what a lot of people who've used it have shared. So,
Right.
oh
Interesting.
gosh, what was the one that she was saying was so good? Because again, I'm only on a few. Facebook has a dating app right now, or dating.
That's what I heard.
It's nice because it's not your friends; it's like friends of friends.
Yeah.
And you can use a tab of like people who've already liked you, so that you're not just going through random people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. I don't know, just speeds up the process a little bit, and that's usually a premium feature on other apps. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, it's interesting. You have to meet somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
You have to meet somewhere.
And I think that people should do the dating apps, but they should also be trying to meet people in real life. I mean, the holidays are coming up. It can actually be a really great time of year to meet people. Some people are like, oh, isn't the holidays kind of a strange time to date? I'm like, no, I think this is the perfect time to start trying to date somebody.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, a lot of people are actually in a much more chipper mood this time of year. You know, yes,
Good
there's some
point.
people who are grumpy, but honestly, I feel like people's true personalities kind of come out this time of year.
Good point.
So it's a little bit easier gauge of like what people are like.
Right.
Plus, there's just a lot of things to do this time of year. There's holiday parties.
Right.
There's pop-up bars. There's ice skating. There's just all sorts of things to go do. Plus, you're often out shopping. You may be in places you're not normally going to, so you've got the chance to meet new people.
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, and it's a festive time of year. You kind of, yeah, like you said, you're in a good mood already, and there's kind of a low pressure type of things. Like, you're so busy with the holidays, there's no real pressure to be anything but lighthearted and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Plus, you know, if you're at a company holiday party that's at a big restaurant or main event, or, you know, like, you're probably around other people, keep your eyes open for other people. You just never know when you can meet somebody when you're dating.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Now, are you dating anybody?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
A couple people.
Couple.
But, yeah.
Well, there
Yeah.
you go. Keep it fun. Keep it lighthearted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fun
I
too.
got one that caught my eye, but
You got one that
I
cut.
got one that caught my eye.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're gonna work your magic. I know.
I mean,
You're blushing,
thinking about
Kristen.
him. Yeah, no, I like him a lot. So.
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Awesome. And so, in your full disclosure with all of your people you're interested.
Oh yes, no, they all. I mean, I am dating multiple people right now.
Yeah.
They know. Again, it's just one of those things. If I'm always honest, I'm not trying to get anybody to think that, it's all about full disclosure. And it feels, it's so freeing and so nice to just be honest, like, hey, you're not the only person I'm dating. I enjoy your company. This is, we're going to keep enjoying each other's company. But,
Right.
I am dating around. So.
Yeah. And it could help these people to up their game too.
Yeah, there's that.
It's like, I've got some competition. I should be my best self.
That's the thing. All I want is someone who I'm trying to just move about in the world being my best self. So I feel like that's all I'm just trying to attract is people out there trying to be their best selves.
I think that's a wonderful thing. That is a wonderful thing.
When you radiate desire.
When you radiate desire.
You
Yeah.
invite it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Though, and that's why we do this Radiate Wellness podcast. There are people who just walk into a room and you say, that person's got desire, right? That
I
person
feel
has
like I'm
desire.
that person.
You
People
are.
walk in and they just start talking to me about their love lives and their sexuality and yeah.
Yeah, because you invite it and you listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're a safe person. You're not a weirdo,
Right?
right?
Honestly, that's kind of why I started the podcast, because I felt like once people listened to an episode or two, they'd be like, oh, I could totally talk about sex with her.
Right. And you've had people approach you after the podcast and say, I listened to you and I know that I could work with you.
Yes.
Yes.
I have.
I think that's beautiful, because when you're talking about something that intimate, that vulnerable, you do have to have a trust before you even enter into that conversation, to that, right? Absolutely. That's why I do Facebook Lives, so that people can get to know me, and it's important.
Can I be real? I hate myself on video.
Oh, honey.
I have the hardest time doing Facebook Lives. I don't know. I'm so critical of myself with that, because audio is so easy to edit. You just cut and paste.
It is.
Video, you do it live, like, it's out there.
It's out there. Well, I know we did a live in a...
work on it.
Yeah, you need a coach.
Right. Well, Global Entrepreneurship Week helped me break through a little bit of that.
Wonderful. Yeah, you did a panel for Global Entrepreneurship Week.
Yes.
And it was about what's love got to do with it.
Yes.
Where people in relationships, either married or maybe serious relationships, are in business together too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That would be hard.
It can be hard, yes.
Right,
it can be
because
hard.
you've got your problems at home that you don't want to take into work with you.
And that's
your
exactly
problems at work that you don't want to take home with you.
And that was exactly what I wanted my panel to explore with people in the audience.
Right.
Is, like, there's got to be some separation. I think I helped show that with, some of the questions that I asked them. And also showing that it's not a bad thing to be in business with your partner.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think
so
some
many
people shy away.
Exactly. I think they shy away from it. Or they shy away from being completely honest and vulnerable with their partner because they don't want them to, like, shit on their dreams. Sorry if I say that.
No,
but
I think so.
They want them to, like,
exactly.
crap on their dreams.
Right.
But it does require that complete honesty and vulnerability between partners for an entrepreneur to make their business work. Even if their partner is not a part of the business.
Right. It does.
It's going to affect the relationship in some way, shape, or form. It's up to you to decide how it affects it. But I did cite research from a Dutch study that said that when they look at entrepreneurs and small businesses, there's actually no effect on their level of happiness between couples who are not in that kind of scenario. Like, it's even Stevens. It's not going to negatively affect it. It's not going to positively affect it.
Okay.
So it's okay. It's more about how do you treat your partner? How do you bring your work home?
Right.
And it doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a small business owner.
That's true. I mean, as a small business owner, you're, like, pretty much always working. And then in a couple, making time for the other person.
Yep. You got to still make your partner a priority.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and being a small business owner, too, that it really helps to have a supportive partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like somebody who doesn't understand and who doesn't support that. It makes it really hard.
Yeah. And with what I do, that's something that I'm looking through as I'm dating is who understands what I do and doesn't fetishize it. Who's supportive of my dreams, my goals, my aspirations that I have for building this business, because I love coaching people one-on-one, but I want to move beyond that one day.
Really?
I've got some big aspirations.
Well, yeah, you aspire to be the modern-day Dr. Ruth.
Yes.
I think you're fast on your way to do that.
I want to write books. I want to write screenplays. I want to do TED Talks. I want to give seminars for people, whether it's online or in person. And I don't want to just affect hundreds of lives. I want to affect thousands of lives.
Be a thought leader in the relationship and dating and sex.
Thank you for saying thought leader, not influencer, because...
Oh, no, different. No. Influencers are a puff of smoke.
No, I have no... And that's one thing is I'm doing this. I'm not peddling products. I'm not selling myself. There's a lot of... And it's fine. There's no judgment about people who show their bodies or do sexy photo shoots or have themselves in lingerie on their websites. That's their gig. That's their thing, and that's okay. It's not mine.
That's not you.
It's because what I'm trying to sell, again, with being open the doors coaching, it's not it is about me, but it's not about me.
Right.
I'm just the vessel that helps people move forward in life, but it's not about me and I'm the best coach and I'm going to do these things for you. So I'm never really out there selling me as the product. It's about my services and how I help people.
Absolutely, and I think that's what makes you so approachable.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, is there any...
You're so sweet.
Oh, bless your heart. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you think that you would like to talk about that we haven't mentioned that you think is important?
Again, when I think about radiating desire and how people can do that more and more every day.
Yes.
I think that starting your day off with, a lot of people are doing affirmations. that you need to think about your sexuality in that too.
Oh, love
and like, what are you doing for yourself to feel desirable and to show desire if you're in a partner situation to another person? Right. How are you making them feel desired and wanted and loved and cared for in the way that you want those things?
Yeah.
And learn your love languages. If you know your love language and your partner's love language and actually practice them, like hardcore do them. Don't just read the book and go like, okay, I know what it is. Like, actually do the things. Show love. They need it in the way that they need it, and talk to them about how you need to receive your love too.
Yes.
And actually do it. It will make a tremendous difference in your relationship.
That's huge. That's huge. And for anybody who's not aware, the love languages are, well, it's a book.
It's The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the love languages are acts of service. Mm-hmm. That's mine. Gifts. Right?
Receiving gifts.
Receiving gifts.
Quality time.
Yeah.
Physical touch and words of affirmation.
Right, yeah. I figured you would know them. I kind of bungle them. But just how your partner likes to, or how you like to receive love. Mm-hmm. I think that's important because we have languages for everything. How I receive, how you
get feedback.
Right, exactly. Yeah. We have languages about everything. We're also individuals. So I think that's where the men are from Mars and women are from Venus kind of started that. Yeah. Just like, oh, this is a different person. They have different goals. They have different expectations. They have different ways of approaching things. Maybe we should understand that. Yeah. Right? And then we get to the 5 love languages and how to understand how another person receives love. Mm-hmm. I think that's important.
And I think it's important to also see that you have to show your partner love in a little bit of each of the ways for them to feel fulfilled. And oftentimes when I'm starting to work with a couple and they say, well, this is my love language, I'm like, well, that's because it's what you're most starved for. You are not getting anything in that area.
Love it.
That's why it's coming to the surface right now.
Right.
But I bet if we fulfilled that for you, you'd find that it might balance out.
Right.
Because there is an online quiz you can take. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you how many times I send couples to do the online quiz, and especially if the male partner has already expressed that there's uneven desire in the couple, comes back like 80-90% physical touch. I'm like, duh. Because you're not getting any.
Right.
You are not getting any physical touch whatsoever. So I have found that when I get the couples to get back to a better place and they redo the quiz, it kind of balances back out and their true love language will actually come out.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
So it's once you're in a really good place, I think that the love languages can really help you like solidify your relationship. But the quiz at first kind of is like, let's identify the problem area and then let's get you some balance.
That's a good point. Well, in the physical touch being a love language, it's not just
about sex.
It's not just about sex.
It can be about, like, do you touch each other?
Exactly.
Like, when you're walking with each other. Do you hold hands? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's one thing about my parents. Mm-hmm. They kiss goodbye. They kiss hello. They hold hands. They touch each other. They rub each other's feet. They sit next to each other on the couch. Yeah. Like, they're always in physical contact with each other.
Right.
It's adorable. Kind of sickeningly adorable. But, I mean,
but
they know how to make it work.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then
but I bet neither of them would say that physical touch is their top love language.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, because they get that fulfilled. Mm-hmm. They get it fulfilled. That's wonderful. Now, what's your website?
OpenTheDoorsCoaching.com.
Mm-hmm. And do you have an office or do you work with people online?
I work in an office and online. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to have my very own dedicated office space by Q2. I set some goals and intentions for the year.
Perfect.
But currently I office at a few different locations throughout the city, but I can work with anybody nationwide thanks to technology.
Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, we do have listeners all over the world. So
oh, lovely.
Yeah, they can get in touch with you at OpenTheDoorsCoaching.com.
Mm-hmm. They can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Fantastic. You're all over the place.
I try to be.
I love it. Well, I'm just glad that you had the time to sit down with me and talk to me.
Thank you for having me.
This is wonderful.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kristen.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.